I took a little bit of break from WarGame European Escalation after doing the entire campaign. I think it was pretty warranted to take a break. So I played a little bit of multiplayer, and what I was noticing was that there's still kind of a bit of an issue with connectivity, and people are just getting dropped. And maybe it's their internet, but I don't think it is, because it's just too common. Like, when it's that common, it can't be just your internet, right? This is just a little opener that I'm doing. Might look a little familiar from the campaign. This is an all-in rush for multiplayer, and multiplayer honestly not as serious as single player, because with multiplayer you can kind of rely on other people. So at this point, I realized, originally I wasn't going to go for a rush. And I realized I spent 2 units, and I totally forget, how you delete units. So I'm just, kind of goofily trying to get rid of one of these things so I can get another UAZ, but I don't. So I'm actually going to go for a pretty big all-in. So with this rush, I will have, a bunch of tanks, decent tanks, mid-range tanks. I will have 1 recon, who will be just picking up people in trees and whatnot, so I can clobber them. And a bunch of PTR faggots, which are my anti-tank weapons. So just to recap, I have anti-air, anti-tank, tank, and recon. This is a pretty slow-moving army, and my objective is to move up the east side towards north, and I'm going to try and take a point. So I always like to get 2 helicopters, no matter what. And the reason why I do this is because if my opponent does not get any anti-air at all, they will huge payoff. I will cripple a big giant chunk of his army, they will become panicked, and I'll have a huge morale bonus as well. So, looking at my teammates, they're also going a little bit all in. One guy, you can see on the right there, has mostly aircraft. The guy on the left has mostly tanks. And there's this other guy who builds a lot of artillery, anti-air, whatnot. So I think these guys are actually a team, or a group of friends or something. Not really too sure about that, but they did have similar little tags on their names. So I think it's a little team. Not the most coordinated, of course. A lot of team games end up being kind of all-in rushes, and it's really common. And so basically we start off with a lot less cash than most 4-player games go, and someone is still picking units, which means that one of the enemies is going for very specific unit builds. This means they're picking 1 rank 3 of this guy, and then 1 rank 3 of the same guy but a slightly better guy, and then 1 rank 1 of that guy, and that's really kind of a piss off. The 2-minute prep time is fine when you have a lot of resources, but we only start off with 1,200 resources. That's enough for a handful of tanks and a handful of infantry. What else can I say? Yeah, the helicopter opening that I'm using with just 1 helicopter, like I said, I always use it. It's good. If they don't get stuff, I can take free FOBs, I can take free commands, all that stuff. It's pretty good. And because everyone kind of all-ins, it's kind of important to have quite a bit of anti-air. And I'm actually going to place one of my anti-air units, 3 of them, actually. I'm going to put them on my base. Because the funny thing about this is that a lot of times people do the exact same thing as you. Right now in the game, tanks and helicopters are doing really good. Tanks are really armory type, and they deal a lot of damage. They deal with a lot of unit types, and they're fast. Helicopters, the only counter to them is really anti-air support and anti-air infantry. There are other units that can shoot up, but you can pretty easily kite away those units and knock them out pretty easily. So we're about to start. One of my buddies still having a little bit of a connection issue. This map in particular is a little bit bizarre because there's a lot of ways you can approach this. Everyone can move their FOB and whatnot to Gregory, which is where I am at now, and just rush north. And this is an all-in attempt. So we'll take Fedor, and we'll just move north, and we'll just wipe out everything, come from behind, and attack them. They won't be able to reinforce, right? We can do that. And that works out. Another one you can do is spread everyone out evenly, which is what most people do, and that's why the Rush 1 works really well. It's because the Rush 1, there's usually only like 1 or 2 people there. Alright, so it's game on. So, yeah, move my 1 anti-air here in the woods. And you want to make sure you have everything in the woods. I should have relocated my UAZ into the woods, so it's going to cost us like, probably like 2 deployment points maybe. I do have my helicopters, which I will be using twofold. One, I like to use them for scouting, because they can really see the size and composition of the army ahead. And say if they have a lot of AA, that's going to work in my favor because I have a lot of tanks, so I can just kind of steamroll them. If they have a lot of tanks, then I'll want to kind of pad them down with my helicopter. If they have a lot of infantry, I'm probably going to want to sneak back and try and maneuver a recon in place so that I can hit them from a decent distance. The problem with infantry is that you have to get pretty decently close to hit them, and like a lot of them are like on the pack side PTR faggots, and I can't really pronounce it. It's like Chiesrialia, which is the anti-air units. They have a very, very high range on them, and by the time you actually get to them, unless you have like anti-tank guns or some like really long-ranged tanks, like I think Starship has pretty high range on it, then you can hit them, but not so much. So I am rushing them to this tree area, because my plan here is I am going to rush into Dimitri. I'm going to encroach in those woods. I'm going to use the helicopter as a spotter, and I'm going to push anything comes out. If they have anti-air, it's fine. I have a recon available. Like almost every unit in this game, except for select amounts of infantry and some tanks, actually have a larger range than they have vision. So by adding extra vision, you're going to add a lot of extra range. So it kind of works out. I will say this: I am playing in a level 8 game. I'm a level 3. So you're not really going to see the best of the best in this game. I'll be perfectly clear and honest about that. You're seeing some pretty massive scrubs. So just slowly move along. Now this is kind of like the weird part, I guess, because Dimitri should realistically be taken by now. I'm at Fedor, and so any second now Dimitri should click in, but it's not. And my helicopter should be picking up some units, but it's not. So this is kind of like a really weird situation. I'm playing the single player, so I haven't been into the multiplayer metagame. But this is low level. Like, there shouldn't be a metagame. There should be just people doing random shit. Alright? There shouldn't be a real strategy. So, as it turns out, everyone does the exact same tactic. Everyone goes for this really weird middle push. And then because everyone goes for the middle push, which is really weird, it kind of makes it weird. I don't know. It makes my attack a lot stronger. Because now I can not only... Like, Dimitri's actually clear now, so I have 2 options. I can entrench my units to the west of Dimitri in the woods, and hit the center in support of my units, my own troops. Or I can run around the back and get some free stuff, which is what I'll end up doing. It just seemed like the smart choice. At first I'm thinking like, I'm going to entrench in these woods here and hit, because originally I'm kind of being a team player, and then I actually see what we have here. So, this is kind of sad. We have my teammate with like 8 helicopters, all valued at 50 resources each. So every time one of those dies, you'll see in my little score screen, the enemy gets 50 points. So, 8 times 50 is 400. He's running them into anti-air, which is the dumbest thing you can do. He's actually going to attack into anti-air. This works sometimes. I will say that much. It does work some of the time, but it won't work this time because he has a lot of anti-air there, and so he's just given the enemy a very, very big head start. So I'm coming with my helicopters to kind of check out what's here, and just supply helicopters, which are very expensive. And I will say this right off the bat: if you're new to the game, don't open with supply helicopters. So you can see Renu is actually asking the guy at the helicopters, like, what are you doing? What the hell are you doing? Because it's actually just really, really dumb. You can see now, like, the enemy has a huge, huge lead. And this is why I really, really, really hate team games. It really sucks. So apparently the Super Chinooks actually outspeed my Mi-240s, so I'm kind of just chasing them down for nothing. But what I have done is I have scouted that northern base, and I found out they in fact have nothing there. Nothing. Just supply helicopters. Okay, so I think we're losing Renu, maybe. Yeah, I think he's gone. I think he might actually just pull the plug, because Nox just threw away all of his units. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. I think his timer is actually not like 2 Mississippi, 1 Mississippi. No, it's actually in time. Okay, that's fine. Alright, there you go. Renu is gone. Pulled the plug, he's dead. So the enemies are going for a mid-rush, and you can see that all the units are pretty much there. They have taken other territories, but it is actually a middle rush. So this race of mine is actually worthless. At first I'm thinking, like, I'll just destroy the FOB. But I do realize as well that I'm one teammate down, and I actually need the FOB. So I'm actually going to try and hunt for the command instead. And I spent a lot of time really just wasting, not really knowing what to do, and so I lose an opportunity, which is pretty bad. So the enemy has about a 200-point lead. I'm one teammate down, and it's not looking too good. What units do I inherit? Not a lot of them. Like, whenever someone leaves, you inherit 1/3 of their units, whatever the party split up is, and I got like barely anything. I got like UAZs and like anti-air that protect their base. So now Nox Kalo is gone, so I inherit some of his units. He's the guy who's lagging, so lag should just vanish now. And when a lot of people leave, usually everyone leaves, and that's actually what's been happening all day. Like, one person lags out, another person surrenders, another person surrenders. And then I'm sort of just forced to surrender myself. So a lot of the day, like, it ends up like this, where it's like me versus too many people. I just surrender. This time around, I'm not going to though. Okay. Thankfully, Nox Kalo. I'm actually going to try and work this. So, my hope here was that my teammate was as good or better than me, but that's not going to happen. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to entrench in positions. I'm shooting with the helicopter, and I have to deploy my Pirzelia. I can't pronounce this word. Pazerka. They have quite a range on them. I'm going to get my tanks back, and hopefully, he's going to be a little bit less cautious. He's going to keep chasing down these tanks. Try to go for that kill. Unfortunately, he's too cautious. So a little battle over here, and these are all my units now. So my opponent's becoming very ambitious in his pushes. He's pushing into vastly entrenched positions, which is not going to work out for him, because even though I lost teammates, I still have a lot of units. Like, the bulk of your units that you'll get in the game are the starter units, and so if you manage your starter units really well, you're going to be a very massive advantage, and you're going to slowly move up. So it's pretty obvious now. This guy's actually deploying anti-air, and I shouldn't have tested the waters here, but I did. I just want to see if this is anti-air, because if this is anti-air, which it was, this is actually really good for me. This means I can push into his main with tanks and do a significant amount of damage. And unfortunately, he also got gazelles, and I knew what it was, but I just wanted to see what it was. And this is actually just the doom of those helicopters, which is just, really, really bad play on my part. I should have just retrieved those helicopters right off the bat. So they now have artillery in Boris, and that's shelling out my position, and it'll be shelling out positions all over the map. For my strategy is not too big of a worry. Artillery doesn't do very well against tanks, but it will do very well against my anti-air units and my PTR faggots. But, they're not going to really destroy a tank that well. Things are looking pretty grim, though. I'm down 2 teammates. My enemy has started shelling with artillery. Artillery fire is really a great late game thing, because usually in late game people just sit down and they entrench, right? So by them shelling out like this, they're kind of assuming that we're going to play pretty passively because we're down a teammate. Quite the opposite. I just assumed my teammates were bad because, he threw away all his helicopters, and what else did he do bad? Oh, the other one just, was moving his tanks into a weird positioning without using the move fast key. So I just assumed they were really bad. And I think that was probably a rightful assumption to make, that they're just bad. So now I have control of all the resources. Now what do I do with this? Well, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to buy new units. The key to really come from behind is effective moves, where you're trading very effectively, using anti-air against air, using anti-tank against tank, and then just getting more deployment points with your commands. So I have a lot of options available for taking things. Sheridan's really good. It's being protected by a whole flank on the mid of the map, and I can also take Fedor, which will help me mobilize north. So I'm going to make a really big push after I get my units all split up. I'm going to move north and take it out. And so here's my first command. I'm putting it in Fedor because I want to be able to reinforce my units pretty quickly. Whenever you make a command, a good move to do is to make sure that it is reinforced with anti-air units. You don't want any helicopters come around just sniping commands. Commands are worth 200 points, which makes them insanely valuable. So there's some Mardars in the woods, and my teammate got a missile launcher, which is a short-range unit, and it offers short-range artillery fire. And it's a little bit unique because it does insanely high damage, but it's very vulnerable, and it's short-range. So it's got a ton of weaknesses. So I'm going to move these tanks. I want to move them here in the woods here, and the idea here is that I'll be able to flank the enemy as they come in. So like I said, once these are supplied, I'm going to move in and wipe out that position. That's going to put us at a pretty significant advantage because it means they're going to be generating a lot less deployment points, and they will be generating a lot. They'll be one less entry point, and so that means with that entry point gone, this side here, Fedor, will be very, very safe. I mean, why would they attack that? They have no entry point there. The only thing they'll attack there with is helicopters, and I'll have that covered. So, upon moving to the woods, I found an anti-tank weapon in the woods. Anti-tank weapons are really good, but you need a spotter for them. You have to have them really far back, because they have a really, really, really long range on them, and he's not doing that. So, we're going to get some free anti-tank weapon kills here. The only problem is that anti-tank weapons are not worth as much as tanks. Every time he kills a tank, he's probably going to get about 30, 40, and anti-tank weapons are 30, 35 for one that quality. And yeah, it's not a really good trade for me, but just because he didn't support it properly, I'm going to make lots of monies off this. Now, gazelles are showing up, and unfortunately my teammate does not have any anti-air in the area at all. And it's a pretty big piss-off. The T-62s can actually shoot in the air. They're not the best, obviously. They're not going to trade too well. So there's a Tonskala here. They're anti-air, they're pretty good. Well, let's get 8 spotters, so they'll do pretty good. So Blue's just rushing his units in. This is kind of where you do a bad trade. Like, you don't just push all your units in, that's stupid. you attack with units that have an advantage, and then you support with other units. So right now, there's no anti-air, so just attack with the air units, right? Have something spotting there and just get the range. But instead he just rushes in, and this is a big mistake. So he's going to lose that Panzer Grenade in the air in the woods, and he's going to use the Gazelle. Like, you know, use the advantages that yours have. These gunships' advantage is the range. So I'm putting 2 more anti-air there, and like, I'm hoping when he does, he sees that we're anti-air, and he'll just make him by having an anti-air there. I will be able to catch a lot of planes for reasonably cheap. He's paying about 50 per plane. I'm paying about 25 for the anti-air will just crush him bad. So this is once again a really bad deployment. I have a lot of tanks here. I'm firing on position in the woods in hopes of hitting them, and last minute I decided, oh, I should pull back. The Sheridan there is an anti-tank weapon, which is very, very good. And unfortunately I can't really run in there or I'll just lose my tank, so I'm going to retreat them instead, bring them into the woods, and hope that he pushes in and I can kind of flank again. And there's also this Panzer Grenade ADRs in the woods, which I can also hit. They're also acting as spotter shrimp. Okay, so we're almost ready for attack. The slowest moving supply is here. Now, I'm going to run in, I'm going to get his FOB, which is huge. That's a big source of supply. And I have 1 supply truck. So, of course, the supply truck is going to help me a lot, because it's going to help me steal his stuff. So once again, this guy's got the Chinooks, you see there? Don't invest in them, they're too expensive early on. You're better off with trucks, which are like 15. The speed of the Chinooks is awesome, but unfortunately it just doesn't pay fast enough. So once again, I haven't really spent a lot of resources. I'm really banking on getting more territories. So first I'm going to send my helicopter in. This is kind of a mistake. I have a sneaky suspicion there's something in the woods there, and I need to spot position. I should have sent my recon first, and just use this after, but this is a huge misstep in my ways. Like, I know there's something there. I have a sneaking suspicion there's something in the woods, and I go for it anyway. Unfortunately, the AA there starts killing me, and I just rush him. Huge mistake. Don't make this mistake. Like, really, if you have a feeling there's something there, recon it. Recon is the key. I was just being really impatient, and unfortunately, I also gave them information. So this guy's flanking with Sheridans while one guy's attacking from the front. This sounds like a good idea. Unfortunately, you have to get in such a massive range that you can also get hit. And, it's one of my favorite Patton quotes. Patton said, you got Russians on one side, Germans on the other. Well, that's fine. This means you get to kill them in all directions. It's kind of the same thing. Like, this guy's tanks are not doing so hot. These Gazelles in the back are doing much better, but these tanks are just not doing so hot. And he's retreating them appropriately. These guys are just not very patient at all. They're trying to push in, and as you can see, our points are starting to catch up just from the enemy having bad engagements. We're still about 140 points behind, but I'm about to close that gap with this big maneuver. This is, all my starting units from the beginning of the game in one attack. I know for a fact that he only has 2 anti-air units, and I have tanks, so I'm going to crush them with relative ease. I'm going to take his FOB, and I'm going to be able to wipe west, take out his artillery as well. And, I'm not really expecting to take out the artillery. I'm assuming these guys have some intelligence. The guy with the artillery wants to protect his shit, and whatnot, so he's going to have to really support that, which means this flank up front will not have as much units. So what I'm doing is my eastern flank is going to move in and just snipe those Abrams with PTR fragments. I can do that because I have lots of vision. I'm also going to take out any some air units with a Tongzilla. Of course, he has no air units here, but I make that mistake anyway. I'm going to send my anti-air here to die. Another mistake. And so you see, these Abrams are just free for me. The range is just killing me. So slow main push, and this is like, this could go faster, but I'm trying to really eliminate these effectively one at a time. So we're going to fire into the woods. This is a good move. This is a reasonably good move. Hit your fire position key and fire on where you think the enemy is at. So these guys have such sick range. They just wiped out a different Panzer Grenadier, and now I can move in. I'm going to move the PTR if I get into the woods here to support from the rear. I don't want to engage with PTR if I get directly. So as you can see on this here, like, it's all kind of coming together now. These units are going to trade very, very effectively because it's tanks versus tanks, anti-tanks, and anti-infantry. The advantage is on my side. Unfortunately, I sacrificed my anti-air, which is bad because now he's coming with air units, and I need to get some Pistolas, anti-air ones there right away. Okay, and there's the other Flakpanzer, another easy target. It's kind of weird how that one has line of sight of me, but I don't have line of sight of it. Like, there's something very, very broken about line of sight in this game, but it's a pretty easy kill, and it's points. That's like another 50 points for free. So we're gonna take over his FOB, which is meaning that this position is pretty damn invincible. Like, once you lose your FOB, it's really hard to take it back. You need to just spend more units than I have to take it back. So now it's the hunt for the command, which, I'm pretty sure is in the woods there to the east, but command's gonna be pretty hard to find. So I'm gonna lose a lot here to this kind of defense, but I'm not gonna lose as much as him. Like, kind of funny how it is. This is actually a very effective trade for me. He's going to lose 4 Marauderers, which are not cheap. They're like 20-30 each. And he's going to lose, he's probably going to lose at least 2 Gazelles, maybe more, depending on how well my PTR flaggets do, which are not the best anti-air, but since he's using them so poorly, like, pretty much, yeah, they're in range of everything. So he's actually going to lose it all. Just insanely effective engagement for me. And I gotta knock out that anti-tank down the woods. And once I can do that, once the anti-tank down the woods is dead, I'm absolutely golden. I could use a recon there. So now he's sending these leopards 1 and A1 tiers. This is kind of a panic response that people have. They go, oh crap, he's at my base, I gotta do something. So they'll send it wherever they can. And this is, don't do this yourself. Once someone takes your command like this, organize from a different entry point, and then come in, because, like, you're just going to streamline units one at a time, they're all going to get knocked off. So the score is looking very different now. Suddenly, like, I'm not so far behind. Once I knock out this command, I should be pretty far ahead. And, my teammate's not doing too bad. He's, being decently aggressive. He can actually snipe that command right now if he wanted to, but I don't think, like, a lot of people play this game, they think of, like, I gotta destroy military units first, because military units are the ones that deal damage, but really you should snipe commands when you have a chance, because that gives you 200 points, and that means they have to spend 200 more points, meaning they're gonna have less military units, and it also means that, you're closer to victory. Like, when you're looking at winning, it has to be totally from a points perspective. How many points am I going to get from this engagement? I mean, it's not something you're going to calculate, but you got to think, like, if I rush in here and take this point, how many points am I giving the enemy, as opposed to how many am I taking myself? So, a little bit of a command problem. My recon is not picking up anything at all, which is impossible. Absolutely impossible. There's something a little wrong there. So I can move my PTR if I get back in the woods, because they're covering a very specific flank, and they're in ambush unit right now. I got some guys in the woods that are covering a different flank, and these guys are in Anna, which is mine. I'm just gonna unload all these Pistresias, and I'm also gonna take another point. Sheridan. This is, like I said, just how you get yourself in the game. My ally is not expanding at all, which is a little bit of hiss off, because in team play, the points you get is split amongst the team, and I don't like that mechanic myself, but it's how it works. So now he's coming in to trying to take this back. What he doesn't know is that I have a lot of anti-air. I'm very powerful. Like, boom, he's lost 260 units worth of units. 260 command points, 260 points worth of units, and that's huge. That is a huge, huge win for me. More engagements like that, and you know, we take the game. So now I got, you can see here my Pistresias are going to hit his Cobras. So that's what they're here for. And there's also another anti-air support here as well. You know, I only have to get like a couple of volleys, and I take both of them out. So, you know, I just went up combat level. He's not really attacking back all effectively. So they're in this woods, this northern woods here. It's the only spot I haven't looked at. Otherwise, it's just bugged, which is possible. This definitely took a lot longer than it should have, and I'm definitely like they're getting a lot of resources for this. This is the advantage of helicopter recons, which are pretty good, but pretty vulnerable as well. So I'm not using too much supply, but I'm not using too little. Nice. Putting it where it's needed when I need it. I'm only covering ammo. I'm not really interested in covering fuel, which is the problem I have there in the mid. I do have a lot of supply available, but you do have to ration it. So I'm just going to put my PTR faggot here to cover the rear. If someone tries to come in with tanks and push on my FOB, I will have the faggots to retaliate. So this is the TA is being tanked down by some helicopters, so I sent my Pistresias to try and help it, but of course it's kind of a lost cause. So I'm going to put these guys in here. See how they're doing. So, you know, a few anti-air units are a pretty good investment. They pay off very easily, and a lot of that's just because of how many people go with a lot of helicopters. Okay, so knock that out. Now he's trying to shell out my Pistresias, and how artillery works is the closer the range, the better they do. They have more accuracy, so I actually have to get my Pistresias out right away, because they're infantry. They're actually going to take a lot of damage from this. So now I'm going to move in and try and hit the hit his artillery out. This is a pretty big push. So once again, I don't have to put units here. I just have to put anti-air. I have to put in tanks or anything. Anti-air is the only thing you need to cover this, because the way the map's set up right now, the only thing you can attack that with is anti-air. So he's got some, you know, this is just weird timing. Like, he has these gazelles coming along, and he can so easily come in and snipe Sheridan. But he's been playing, like, people don't really understand that helicopters are skirmishing units. They're intended for just picking off weak targets, right? If he had a recon helicopter with him, he could actually pick off all my woods there pretty easily. But people don't really build their decks that way. I think a lot of people just select random units and don't really look at what they're any kind of synergy. But he's been using the helicopters like an actual attacking unit, as opposed to like the scout skirmish that it is. So I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable with all those helicopters. I'm going to put some extra ones, some extra anti-airs here. So he still thinks my units are in the woods there. It's just, you know, a little bit funny. So he's wasting a lot of supply on this, and supply usage really only matters really late in the game when you drain your FOBs. A lot of people get one extra FOB because of this supply drain. I'm not particularly a fan of this maneuver on large maps like this. I do agree with getting that on relatively small maps where there will be tons of engagements, but on this one there's not a lot of engagements. So I have my little 4 BTRs there. The idea is to kind of like use this to lure him into attacking, and he does. So now he's going to pay the member for this. Those transport vehicles don't really offer them a lot of points, but the units they'll come to attack with definitely do. it's not a bad tactic. And he only got one, so he probably got like, what, 5 points there? No, I did pretty good trading there. And of course, he doesn't see anything anymore because he has no recon in the area, so he runs away. Like I said, he could clear the entire area, but he doesn't. So I'm slowly populating the map with lots of AA. I'm trying to make everything a big giant AA trap so that he can't really bring in helicopters. At the same time, I'm working on Boris. I want to try and take out the artillery, take out whatever's supporting the artillery, and draw the attention away from the middle. If I can do that, I'll be able to take Alana, which is right there, and I'll be able to push the center. The center is actually the weak piece right now, because most of their units have to be up at Michael. And the reason this is because there's a pretty big tank army there and whatnot. So I'm extending myself. I need to retreat back into the woods, just so that he doesn't get multiple angles. He does have a multi-tank here. He has like some kind of, I think it's Panzer Grenadiers. Yeah, he has Panzer Grenadiers in here, and then he has an anti-tank weapon in the back. So this is actually, oh, it's a Leopards, okay. Leopards. So he's playing decently smart. He has the anti-tank weapon in the back, and he has the more tanky weapon, the tank, in the front. So this is a lot smarter than the other guy. Maybe it's the same guy, I don't know. But I'm getting a nice few shots on him. Maybe I'll get an extra tank, who knows. So here are the Gazelles again, running right into the air, anti-air again. And they run away. So I'm just going to keep my dudes in the woods here, and they're going to shell out this area. I need to get my PTR faggots in the woods, because they will be able to really do a decent number with their superior range. I just wanted that leopard pretty bad. They've actually put a lot of defense here, a lot more than I was expecting. So in order for me to take this, I actually need anti-tank weapons and whatnot. Now he does have a Gazelle coming, which is kind of funny because I have just the amount of anti-air to take care of this. So I'm going to attack with it. Why not? It's more points. That's like 2 of those is 100 points. It's not a bad trade on my part. So over here, I'll quiet. Unloading my anti-air, and by having anti-air here, and up north in Alana, I'll eventually be able to push into Alana pretty easily. Like, this is all just kind of a setup for setup kind of thing. Kind of, I don't know, redundant maybe. So he can't really attack me. I'm not attack him, and his only option is attacking to the woods, which I think he's good. It's smart, but he's not using all his units with it, which is unfortunate. So maybe he's not. I don't know. It's just kind of weird play right now. So getting some pretty pot shots at the leopard. I've killed one so far. He does have like an anti-tank weapon. He's got artillery in the back there, and that's kind of why this is coming a bad idea. Like so many, I just lost a recon. That's bad. So there's my eyes gone. And oh look, it's sending another Gazelle. Like, I killed the other one pretty much instantly, and he's going to send another one. So this is another 300 points. This is me banking on the enemy making another big mistake, which he does. And I think he's probably going to pull this one back. Maybe learn his lesson. Or not. Die, Gazelle, die. So this is where I'm kind of screwed, though, because I no longer have vision, so I got to pull back. And he's also shelling me out with artillery. So these guys are pretty much, the war is pretty much over for them. The war is over for you. And I need to bring them back to create a new flank. And hope that the enemy will run into that flank. That's a pretty big part of the strategy. Is that I've used them, they've done their damage, now they gotta go back to Anna and really create a new flank. I'm like, artillery in close range is actually not too terrible for one big reason. It causes panic, and it's an anti-morale weapon. So in that regard, it's pretty good. And plus right there, I don't have as many tanks as I should. That's gonna hurt. Oh, so just me versus the world now. So I get all the units now. Well, let's see what we can do, I guess. Like, I'm pretty well situated. So I'm gonna get into artillery. The reason why I'm doing artillery now, I didn't before, is because pretty much everyone's set into positioning. Right? People can't really afford to expand, except for me, because I have so many bases. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shell out various positions. So, you know, the mistakes my teammate, or come back to Hobby, when he left, he moved all his tanks up there, which is kind of a dick move, and he's going to get them all killed, just, you know, for free. Luckily I'm getting a free attack vehicle, which is pretty good. And no, it does look desperate for me chasing them all with like discriminating. Oh yeah, it looks desperate. But I get a free vehicle. I know these aren't going to retaliate. So I can't escape with these vehicles, so I'm just going to try and get the Panzer Grenadier. You know, I really don't like this missile thing myself, because it has such a freaking short range. So up north there's the Super Chinook. You can actually capture vehicles by moving next to them. So I'm going to take my anti-air team, and we're going to capture that. The reason why I'm doing the anti-air, it's pretty slow, but because it's useless in that particular encounter, I can do a lot of damage. So, yeah, just a slow kill. It's like anti-infantry vehicles versus anti-infantry vehicles. Nothing particularly overheat for one deals. And, yeah, as you can see, the points are getting pretty high on the side. I think the game is to like 4,000-5,000, something ridiculous, right? Because everyone always sets these games to such ridiculous numbers. So I just have to reset my defenses. I want to knock out those leopards with some sleek moves. Now, with that Super Chinook, I have two options. One is a short-term win. If I kill them both, I get like 60, 80 points. If I capture them, though, I get like, you know, actual units I can use on the ground right now. And Super Chinooks are really good, but like I said, they're a late game unit. And you know, unfortunately for this guy, I'm going to cash out on it pretty easily. So not a lot of action going on right now. I shouldn't be chasing the PTR fragates because they're really slow. Tanks should be the one chasing. Okay, what else do we have going on? Starting to run out of deployments for these guys, so I'm putting these guys preemptively in a position just so that I can put a command there in the future. And in order for me to win this game, I really have to get a lot of commands up. Right now I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on Dimitri. So the enemy has like 5. Realistically, if my enemy was actually really good and actually, you know, use units effectively, they could just steamroll me with, you know, just artillery. But their artillery is actually too far back. They need to move their artillery up, like move the artillery where the center is, and fire from there, and they'll get more precision and they'll kill more stuff. But without they're doing that, they're doing very, very little damage. Now, Dimitri, I'm putting anti-tank weapons and anti-air weapons. And this one's a very specific case because it's like a front-line position they can actually attack into. It actually needs some real defense. And, you know, people have to feel like a real sense of loss for attacking that. Or the other one's just anti-air is fine. So the enemy's going to lose some leopards here by moving into the woods, which is a pretty huge ambush spot. He's shooting his artillery there, which are, you know, not the most effective right now. They are knocking my Pistralias, but that's about it. Okay, so he's moving his guys to try and retake position. This is what I was talking about before, just smart play. Move your guys into position at another base, and then retake it later. It's very, very smart. You know, it's going to be costly. Of course it's going to be costly. He's going to lose some units. But he has a superior army to what I have now, so all I can do here is do damage. Some damage. I want to keep my guys in the woods, which is important, but I need to really do just enough damage to make this feel like a dumb move. So that flank's really gone now, which means I really, really have to fortify Dmitri. Unfortunately, it's not really going to come to that. You know, I played the game, I know how it ends. Game's pretty close right now, and I do have a real chance of coming back. I actually do have a really, really good chance of coming back, because this enemy's using pretty dumb moves, like, you know, probably some free cobras. There's some free cobras. Let's go back in the game. You know, that FB is about half drained, which is, you know, pretty good for me. I'm going to lose all those units in the woods, which sets me back as well. But he's making a lot of dumb moves. So I'm just trying to re-fortify this flank, because this is just, oddly enough, it's a really common spot for him to attack into. Like, there's no reason to attack into this at all. There's no reason. I'm not pushing into Michael. I'm actually just sitting here. He should actually just swing around like I did, but he's not. He's attacking into this really odd fortified position. It's bizarre. Like, honestly, if someone's fortifying that much, just move around them. I swear to God, it works. You can actually just move around people. You know, you can put some units defense to cover your command, but just swing around them. Don't attack into the woods. And a lot of this is arrogance, right? They are arrogant because they think they won. Everybody left. It's just me versus 4 people. And, you know, this is kind of their big downfall. So, since they're pushing to these woods, they're losing a lot from this, but it's actually working out for them because now they're taking the woods. What do they gain here? They gain freaking woods. Like, this is like World War I, you know, logic. It's really bad. You know, they gain woods. What do you fucking do? It's not a big objective for them. So now I'm moving into a position to defend Nicholas, which is fine, right? It's a secondary defensive position. That's great. And tanks are not going to do the best in those woods. So, you know, I'm still doing pretty well. I'm artillery firing on the tanks, not because it's particularly good, but I'm doing it because I want to stun these guys. I want to get my anti-air out of here, but I also want to hit this recon out, because this recon's going to spawn for the tanks. So the faster I get this recon out, the safer my retreat will be. Yes, I'm trying to retreat these guys to a secondary position. That's a rocket launcher. This is why I hate rocket launchers so much. They're just not that effective. So I will lose, like most of these units. I have BTR faggots going in the front line, and I should have some Pestrazias coming up. And boom, command at Paul again. So now Paul's now back to being safe. But that's the end of the game. It ends as a draw. I don't know how you get a draw. I don't know why this is a draw. But regardless, it is a draw. Is this an anticlimactic ending? Yeah, it definitely is. It's a little bit lame, but that's how it ended. 4 people versus 1? Fine. I have gained just as many points as I would if I won the match, pretty much. And my enemies didn't gain a shit ton. So really, if everyone DCs, great. Take on everybody. Just think of yourself playing with, 75% less units. That's everybody else. So, I'll be doing more videos. If you want me to cast any of your videos, send them to the email in the information link. And in the email, give a brief description of what you're doing, what kind of tactics you're doing, which will help me a bunch. And I'm accepting all levels. So yeah, that'll be in the email, or the information. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the next time.